Well, hello. How is everybody doing? How is everyone doing? Welcome back to the show. It's been a while. It's been a bit. It's been some time. There's been a cut in time from when I was on to when we were doing stuff, but I am back for now. Forever, for always, for good, for all this stuff, for all the fun that we love to have. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope nobody missed me too much, and I apologize for not being around as much as possible. Got a lot of things going on in the real life. That's just really taken over. But this past week, I was gonna go live with news of stuff that I wanted to talk about. That I'm going to talk about tonight, and I'm glad that I actually didn't go live because didn't go live with now because more news came out as I was saying it. So I wanted to kind of just stay, gather all the information, collect my thoughts, and then be able to tell everyone what is going on. So we're going to discuss, or I'll discuss, with whoever's around, the upcoming TV schedule, or the upcoming edition of TV shows, the cancellation of some shows. There's also been some news about stuff and people and things and whatnot of of different TV shows that you think you're doing well, then they get canceled, and then there's new shows and all this other kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do for the show is I'm going to go through most of the major networks, and I'm going to leave one out in particular because of the bigger news that it has to do with it. So right now I'm going to go over CBS, NBC, and the CW a little bit, and then later on in the show I'll explain why as well. I'm going to put ABC in its own sort of category because ABC's been doing some really shady stuff as far as, what it feels like to me. So, I want to be sure to go over it and maybe get feedback on it or anything like that. And then, of course, we're going to, the final discussion for tonight or for the show will most likely be about all these new comic book shows that we have coming out, and all the nerdy shows that we have coming out, including Star Trek Discovery, Inhumans, The Gifted, and so on and so forth. So, why don't we start? We'll start right at the top of the list. We'll start with CBS. CBS is releasing a lot. They've got a great comedy lineup. Turns out one of their major comedy shows, which is it has Kat Dennings in it, and I'm forgetting what it is. Wow, I'm already starting off with aces. Anyway, the Kat Dennings show, Two Broke Girls, was canceled. So that was the first major news from CBS. Picked up a lot of shows. However, a lot of their shows seem to have a bit of a problem with their leading people. Not the problem with the people themselves, but a little bit of a casting situation. And the CEO has since then come out from the initial news of everything to kind of say hey guys, we understand, but here's everything else with going on. And the problem that they have is most of the leading roles in a lot of their shows are held by men, and it's not just just white men or Welcome Back Bio, or it's just all together. Now, Shemar Moore from Criminal Minds, which was a CBS show, it's more of an ensemble show. He's heading up SWAT. Which I guess is the new updated version from the 70s or 80s SWAT TV show. There's a new TV show called SEAL Team, which has David Boreanaz from Bones and from Buffy. He was Angel. And then there is another show called Instinct with Stephen Cumming, Alan Cumming. And of course, their big announcement of Sheldon, which is the or Young Sheldon, which is the spin-off from Big Bang Theory on the life of Sheldon Cooper as he was a kid. So all those stories are going to be released, or going to be shown from the eyes of young Sheldon. So as you can see, not very many women leading the casts there. And they sat there and said, well, most of our shows do have very strong women in it, and so on and so forth. We have, but most of those shows are, ensemble casts. There's no, like, Criminal Minds. Yes, there's Paige Paget. There's a couple of other women that were in that show, but again, they're part of an ensemble cast. They weren't the lead characters. Thomas Gibbs was, Shemar Moore was, but the women were just part of that ensemble cast. Big Bang Theory, which is their biggest show and one of the biggest shows on TV, you have Kaylee Cuoco, you have Mayim Bialik, and Melissa Rauch. They're all part of the cast, but it's mostly an ensemble cast. And there's 3 of them and 5 of the guys with all of them. And another show that they have coming out, it stars Jeremy Piven. He plays a tech titan wanting to take on criminals using his new social media technology. So there you have Jeremy Piven, another male leading the charge. So a lot of people were saying, what's going on here? Can't we get a show? And with the cancellation of Two Broke Girls, which I hope is correct. Yes. So Two Broke Girls, which had 2 leading women as their main stay and main focus of the show, that kind of just went, nobody, like, it wasn't really announced all that much. So they kind of just like brushed that one under the rug, where it's like, well, we have all these great new TV shows coming out. We're keeping Big Bang Theory. All these things are great and everything is wonderful. And releasing the trailer for Young Sheldon, which actually looks kind of cute and it looks really kind of funny. And in a different kind of funny from that of the Big Bang Theory. However, one of their other bigger comedies dropped. And that could be, they'll give us the same speech of how it was done by ratings and Two Broke Girls just wasn't as funny as it was, or there was nowhere to drive it, or there were scheduling issues. But for, all the people see, all us viewers see, is that a show that seemed to be doing well was all of a sudden canceled. So it's not necessarily it's a terrible thing that it was canceled. These TV shows get canceled all the time for really, like, ridiculous reasons, and I'll get into that a little later. However, it's just a little daunting that they come out and say, oh, no, it's there's plenty of women in our TV shows. There's plenty of diverse casting, not just women, but diverse casting in our TV shows. You'll love all of it. I mean, we have Raj Kuthrapali in Big Bang Theory. The computer whiz in this show is also gonna be Indian or something like that. And you're gonna sit there and be like, yeah, but they're not the leading character. It's not like they're walking in. It's not like we're seeing someone like Aziz Ansari leading the show. They're just a person in the background type thing. So that's kind of what's going on with CBS. The trailers for Young Sheldon came out. I can put the link in on the YouTube and the podcast links. However, Young Sheldon does look like it's going to be good. Shot differently, whereas the the comedy series of Big Bang Theory is shot as a multicam. This young Sheldon is only a single cam, which is kind of that more, you get a little bit more depth as to settings and all that kind of stuff. You see him at the school, you see him all over the place and all that kind of stuff. And, it looks like it's going to have a lot of heart, and you get to see a little bit of that human nature that Sheldon now in the Big Bang Theory is learning and doing so well. Excuse me. You're going to start to see a little bit of that human nature in young Sheldon as you see the world through his eyes, growing up with his parents and with his brother and sister. Now, from CBS and their problems, we could head on over to Fox. Fox Network is doing pretty well with is Big Sheldon's mom's daughter in real life? Oh. Now, Fox has decided to, New Girl is coming out for one final season with Zooey Deschanel, and they cancel, or no, that was NBC. So, sorry. But Fox looks like it's going to be joining with the whole comics. They have 3 shows that ultimately came back from their predecessors, and that was X-Files, Prison Break, and 24 Legacy. Prison Break is still going on. I think it's like the 5th season. It's the 5th season right now of Prison Break. It's picking up right where they left off after the special movie they did. So if you're a Prison Break fan, you'll remember, or if you're not, I'm going to tell you, they did 4 seasons and a special hour-and-a-half movie to kind of close it all up and lock it all up. Now, at the end of the movie, Michael Scofield, who's played by Wentworth Miller, his character dies in the movie. So they had to bring him back somehow because he's now the lead in this new season 5. So they brought him back, and now he has to break out of another prison without the help of his brother, Lincoln Burrows, who's on the outside. So there's all sorts of things going on with that. Now, Prison Break, X-Files, and 24 Legacy are all rehashes of old TV shows. They're revivals, they're reboots, they're all doing the same thing of bringing back a TV show that was great and allowing the new generation to love and appreciate them. Problem is, the new generation is not really loving and appreciating them as much as they were back when they first came out. So Fox hasn't really decided to cancel it altogether. They just sat there and said, all right, for these 3 shows, we are giving the writers, producers, all the showrunners the possibility to come up with a great idea for their next seasons. So for season 6 of Prison Break, for season 11 or whatever of X-Files, and for season 2 of 24 Legacy, the writers and the producers have to come up with an awesome next season. They'll audition it again with Fox, and if Fox likes it, it gets greenlit. If they don't, and they've given up their 3 times to do it and everything, then they are officially canceled. So for right now, and now this is the first time I've ever heard about this. I've heard shows getting canceled and then re-upped. I've heard shows sitting on the bubble throughout the summer to make sure that no other shows get picked up. But I've never really heard of a show being put on the back burner, let alone 3 shows being put on the back burner and getting the opportunity to re-audition their seasons to see if they'll be there for at least a mid-season pickup, or maybe get picked up for during the summer or something like that. I've never seen anything like that. However, Fox apparently is doing that with some of their, with these 3 shows in particular, which I think is great. I mean, Fox is also going to keep their family fun Sunday with Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, and so on and so forth. Some new shows that they have coming out: 911. which apparently is another Ryan Murphy entity. Now, Ryan Murphy, if you're not familiar, he is an amazing showrunner. He has come up with, he is the brains behind such stuff as Glee, the American Horror Story franchise, the American Crime Story, the O.J. Simpson that's been doing so well all over the place. All these sorts of things. This is his baby, and Angela Bassett is starring in it, and it says that it's based off real life experiences of lives of the first responders, police officers, paramedics, and firefighters. So I guess we're going to be seeing a little bit of that Ryan Murphy kind of like reality to his reality, like taking on a fake life of some sort. And we've seen it in American Horror Story. We've definitely seen it in American Crime Story. He's got a way of shooting his stuff, shooting his TV shows to almost make you feel like this can actually happen. And American Horror Story, not so much because it is mostly fantasy, but with his other stuff, with Glee, you know, the high school was as close to a real high school as TV will let you know. And of course, he used actual kids who can sing and actual artists who can sing. You know, in order to get you that feeling of, wow, these kids are actually really talented. And it's just, you know, he's a great showrunner. He's a great writer, great producer. And his content is mostly gold. Now, his second show really ever to be canceled, although this one was more of a we knew it was coming rather than Glee. Scream Queens will not be brought back. But don't you worry, Leah Michelle fans. She'll be coming back in another show called The Mayor, which I don't know if that's going to be on Fox or NBC. Hey, maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit. A new show that's coming to Fox, and it stars actually someone who's been in the spotlight. However, has been in the spotlight mostly as much as I am for a podcast to say that I am the face of this podcast. And that is Seth MacFarlane is coming in to do a live action show. It's a sci-fi show. From what I've seen from pictures and trailers and stuff, it's called The Orville, and it looks as if it's a comedy, but it's maybe going to be like it's a dramedy maybe. But it looks as if it's a take on Star Trek. Like he's on a spaceship going around the galaxy, and you know, his ex-wife is also on board. So I'm sure there's going to be some hilarity with that. There's also probably going to be some drama. Jon Favreau directed the pilot, which, if you're not familiar with his work, go check out Iron Man 1, Iron Man 1, and Jungle Book, and he'll also be doing The Lion King, which is really cool. So Jon Favreau, and if you don't know what he looks like, he is Robert Downey Jr.'s butler in the Iron Man series. He plays Happy. But he's also a fantastic director. So it's going to be kind of cool to see Seth MacFarlane actually in your face doing some acting, like up close in live action. Be really interesting to do that. He's playing a captain on a starship, so it's kind of like he's the Captain Kirk in a different version of Star Trek. Kind of like Tim Allen in Galaxy Quest. You know, where it's a TV show with a take on the Star Trek franchise. However, it's not really Star Trek. So, and being a big nerd, as big of a nerd as Seth MacFarlane is, he's really kind of in his wheelhouse with doing something nerdy. It would be as if someone asked me, you know, if you asked me to be in the Star Wars movies, which Kathleen Kennedy, if you're watching or listening or doing anything that happens to come across this right here, I'm available at any time to come in and do something. Heading on over to NBC, they've had a couple of cancellations of their own. One of the big ones that they announced was Powerless. Powerless, it was their take on trying to go up to their take on, like, what about regular people in these universes of superheroes and stuff. It was mostly a DC show where they were trying to show, like, what people without powers are doing while Batman, while Superman, while Flash, while Green Lantern are going around creating havoc in all of these cities. And it never really took off. It never really, I don't think it caught the audience that they were trying to catch. I don't know why. I was never really interested to watch an episode. I know I said I would watch it. I would watch it just to see what it's about. But really, at some point, I just sat there. I was like, nah, there's really nothing here that's going to keep me. And from people who did watch it, they were like, it's all right. If it gets a second season, cool. But if not, I'm not too upset about it. So, whatever. It was an interesting concept. I don't know if they executed it really. But I think a lot of people were sitting there once they heard that it was canceled. They sat there and they said, no, I'm not talking about Legion. I'm talking about Powerless on NBC. Legion is the exact opposite. Legion was amazing, fantastic, and awesome. I have to watch the season, but from what I've seen from the trailers and stuff like that, I could not be any happier. But yeah, the unfortunate demise of Powerless was not as interesting, or it was not as surprising of a fall as something like Two Broke Girls or even Scream Queens. Although Scream Queens, he kind of fell off as well, where people were just like, I could live without it. A new show coming to NBC is Good Girls. It stars Rita from Parks and Rec. She played Donna in Parks and Rec, and Mae Whitman, who's from Parenthood, who played across Lauren Graham in that show. It seems like it's a great idea. Mae Whitman is a great addition to it. Also, The Mayor, as I suggested, is coming to NBC, and that's going to star Leah Michele, who is, I guess, either going up against a campaign of a hip hop artist who's just trying to make it, so he runs for politics. Another interesting show that caught my eye was actually Law and Order. Now, Law and Order has been around for years. It's been the police drama has survived the test of time. In fact, it was a popular show with popular spin-offs before NCIS, and I remember watching it. I used to love hearing the dun dun, the chains breaking, which was actually that noise, the bum bum. Was actually the sound of a jail door locking, apparently, which was cool. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. However, Law and Order is doing something new. They decided to take on Ryan Murphy's American Crime Story, where they're doing they're recreating real life trials and real life cases. So American Crime Story with, Sam Waterston was in it. Jesse L. Martin was in it. He's now in The Flash. He plays Joe West. So Law and Order is doing a true crime series. Now, their first one is the Menendez murders, which is the Menendez brothers of Lyle and Eric Menendez murdering their parents. Now, they're trying to take on Ryan Murphy's American Crime Story, where each season is actually a mini series. So, Ryan Murphy's first American Crime Story was the OJ trial. The next one looks like, if you follow him on social media, was going to be the Versace murders, and then eventually he's going to take on Katrina, and then he'll take on the big old Bill and Monica Lewinsky trial, and anything that happened with that. So Law and Order has decided to take, matters into their own hands and decide to take some of the other big trials of the century, which would include the Menendez brothers. Now, the Menendez brothers are serving a very long to life sentence for murdering their parents to basically just get their money. They didn't really want to wait around for their parents to die, so they figured they just speed up the business, speed up the timeline a little bit. And that didn't really get them anywhere. I've heard that bio. I've heard that Sam Waterston plays a great gay guy in Grace and Frankie. I think my mother-in-law watches that series, and my mom just started watching it. Yeah. I started watching Master of None. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. The first episode was your typical Aziz Ansari. I don't know how I feel about it fully, but we'll decide I'll keep watching just to see what happens. So NBC is coming out with those two new shows, and it'll be interesting to see how they take on American Horror Story, American Crime Story, because Ryan Murphy did a phenomenal job. I mean, he knew what cast members to use. He used the same cast that he uses in American Horror Story, who are all great character stories, character actors. And the addition of Cuba Gooding Jr., kind of bringing him back into the mix, was just really, really great. And then he did a great job again in American Horror Story for their season 6 Roanoke stories. And hopefully maybe we'll see him in this new season 7 kind of election type thing that he's going after. I don't know. Yeah. So now, why don't we discuss the one network that is going through a lot of problems?